Hey guys, Luke here. Today I want to show you the exact strategy that we use every week to secure upwards on average of 25,000 in 0% business credit from Truist Bank. Now guys, Truist Bank, we have gotten our clients over $2 million in 0% business credit by using this strategy. And by talking to our friends in the industry, thousands of other businesses just like yours have been able to secure tens and tens of millions of dollars in 0% business credit. Now, for those of you who do not know what Truist is, it is what's labeled as a super regional bank. It's only in 17 different states, all located on the east to a little bit into the Midwest of the United States. To get funding from Truist, you do unfortunately have to live in a Truist state. For whatever reason, they just aren't very fond of people who live outside of those states. But if you live in that state, I really hope you do consider putting this in your funding plan because it is an incredible bank for funding. So the first thing that we need to do before we can go in and apply for anything is you do need to set up a business checking account. Once you get this business checking account finished, it is important that you immediately wire around $10,000 into the business account. Now, unlike other banks, Truist is one of these banks that you do not have to let the money season into the account for an extended period of time. We have seen that only just a few days after the money has cleared into the account should be sufficient. Now, whenever you guys, so the reason why we need this bank account, you can go and apply without making the business bank account, but it can heavily influence your approval limits. So what this bank account does is just it sets the relationship with the bank. It's just like anyone else. We give money to people who we trust. And the reason why we put a significant amount of money into the account, such as 10 grand or right around that area, is because it's a show of power. Whenever the bank's algorithm sees that you have put in upwards of like $10,000 into the account, when you ask them for debt, it shows them that you're going to be able to pay back the debt. So it's just a trust factor and it's a power play on your part to show them, hey, I have money, I can pay back the account. Now, if you guys are, like I don't have that type of money just sitting around, just like all of us, what you want to do is there's a few ways you can go about it. You can, one, ask somebody, hey, if you know somebody with some money, you could ask them, hey, can I just use this money just to put into a business bank account for a couple of days? You're not going to get charged on anything by having it into the account, and it's just a quick, easy way to maybe put some money if you know somebody. Now, if you do not know anyone or you just don't want to ask, the second way is to get a short-term, high-limit loan. So you can go apply for a loan, and you could use that money and just put it into the bank account and use it to season the account. And before you would even have to realize a single payment on the loan, you could just pay it back once you're finished. Or if you wanted to keep the loan, you could always transfer it to 0%. But that's a story for another day. Now, after you get the money into the account and you've let it season for a few days and the money's cleared and we're all set to go, you are going to focus on two cards. It's the Truist Business Credit Card. It is 0% for 12 months. And the second card is the Truist Business Cash Rewards Card. It's 0% for 9 months. Now, I have found the best way to apply to being over the phone, OTP for short. I've just found it's the best way for there to be no problems. You get on the phone with a BRM. You can either go to their website and just search up their small business team phone number. You can call them and get connected, or you can make like a virtual appointment. But I would call that number and do it over the phone. I have found that to be the best way. Now, for data points, we have seen that revenue being around 400 grand has worked really well, and income being around the 175 grand mark. Now, it's very important to consider a couple things when you're doing revenue and personal income. If your business is actually doing those numbers or higher, by all means, use your actual business numbers. It's just the best, cleanest way to go about it. And if your business is right around the 400 grand mark or something like that, or maybe just a tad bit below it, just use your real numbers, because because banks reserve the right to request documentation. These numbers that we're talking about today is just what we have seen to get the max amount of approvals, but not have to get, you don't have to get, don't have to show documentation. Sorry about that. You don't have to show documentation. Now, in terms of employees, I would do just a few employees, just because the number, like, you want to make it logical. If your company is doing around 400 grand a year, having a large amount of employees doesn't make very much sense, because if you look at how much you'd be paying an employee, it'd be like pennies on the dollar. So you got to make sure it kind of makes sense, but I would definitely add at least a couple, or right around that area, so like maybe 2 or 3, just to show that your business is thriving, growing, and that you have employees. Now, when you are on the phone with the representative and you are applying for these cards, the first card you're going to want to apply for, like I mentioned before, is the Truist Business Credit Card. You want to focus on that card first. Once you go through the approval, or once you go through the application process, if you're automatically approved, at that moment, ask them to confirm how much the limit was. So if you get approved for, let's just say, $14,000, you want to make sure to then apply for the Truist Business Cash Rewards Card. Now, when we are talking about Truist has a max exposure of 25 grand for their 0% interest credit cards. So if you are under 25 grand with the first card approval, you want to then immediately apply for the second card. Now, a cool little aspect about Truist is that when you apply for 2 cards on the same day, it only shows up as one inquiry. A lot of other places, if you apply for multiple financial products, it will show as multiple hard inquiries. But with Truist, if you apply for the second card the same day that you're approved for the other one, so if it's like the same day, or it's immediate approval, and you apply for that second card, it will only show up as one hard inquiry, which is incredible for people trying to figure out what banks you want to hit, and you're not overloading your credit bureaus with hard inquiries. So it's a great little thing to consider. Now, when you're on the call with the BRM, the business relationship manager, who's going to be taking you through the application process, it is very important that you have a story for your business that you can confidently talk about. That's not confusing. So if you're in consulting or something like that, just make it very clear what you do, and make sure it does not make your business sound high risk, or that like they may not get their money. Just concisely and confidently describe what your business does. Maybe like, how do clients pay you? What's the nature of your business? Like, have these things ready to go. Have a story for your company, because they want to make sure that if they're giving money to somebody, it's someone who, isn't like slimy, isn't fraudulent. They want to make sure that they're giving it to an actual business who's actually going to use the funds. So you want to make sure that your company does not sound risky, because if it does, you're probably going to get denied, or if you do get approved, it's going to be for a tiny amount. So have a good story for your company. Make sure you understand what's your NAICS code. These are important things for you to know before you get on the call. It's better to be over-prepared for these calls than to be under-prepared. So just make sure you consider, what would somebody ask you? If I was asking you a question like, what does your business do? That's the number one question. Maybe, how do you pay, or how do clients pay you? Just think of these things that you can talk when you are talking to these BRMs, that you can confidently speak, because the worst scenario you can be in is they ask you a question, you don't know the answer to it, and you start stumbling over your words. If you start stumbling over your words, or if you just start speaking gibberish or something like that, or if you're kind of running circles, they're going to get suspicious and they're going to get worried. So just make sure you understand what your business does and have that story prepared. Now, that is all I have for Truist. I hope you guys consider Truist in your plan for acquiring business credit. It's an incredible bank. Like I said, you do have to live in a Truist state, but if you do, I highly recommend it. But just to kind of recap everything, set up the business account, let the money sit in there for a few days. After that, make sure to call in, either make an appointment or just call their small business team and get connected to a BRM and do the application over the phone. Have the story of your business ready to go that you can speak confidently about. Make sure to prepare for that. Income, we've seen around 400 grand in revenue work great. 175 in terms of personal income, right around that area, we've seen it work really well. A handful of employees or just a few employees or a couple of employees will work just great. So that's everything I have for Truist. I appreciate you all listening in today, and I wish you all the best. Take care. Bye-bye.